Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Travi Wavi with your host, Travis Eason. Coming to you live from the 325 in beautiful downtown, historic Abilene, Texas, the storybook capital of America, where all your dreams can come true. Today, on this beautiful January day, cold in Abilene, I have a wonderful friend and guest that I've been looking forward to talking to on this program, Jason Groves. Jason, how are you today?
I'm doing good. Anytime I can hang out with you, count me in.
Oh, that's so sweet, dude. So let's kick it right off. Oldest of 7 siblings.
Absolutely. Yeah, life was an adventure from the start.
Where did you guys grow up?
All over Texas. Born in Plainview. If you don't know where that is, it's a little town kind of near Amarillo area, and Fort Worth, Houston, Abilene, Lubbock. So just kind of moved around. And being the oldest of 7 children was kind of like being a human jungle gym. Basically, you were always getting climbed on and pulled in different directions, but it was a blast.
And so you're still close with all your siblings, I assume. And we were just chatting before the show that brother got married this summer.
Absolutely.
That was a fun story.
Yes,
Tell us that one.
So in my family, we're all very unique, and but we get together for the holidays, and everybody shows up. My mom taught us to show up for each other in life. As a child, it was horrible because whenever somebody had a choir concert or a ballet or a baseball game, everybody went, and it was a drag. But now, as we're adults, we actually that's the way we do things, is our family culture. And so holidays, birthday, important celebrations, everybody shows up, and we're all over the U.S. So I've got my youngest lives in New York, and so anyway, we have a lot of multicultural marriages in our family, so that's been awesome. And the one that you're referring to was in Madagascar this summer.
So cool.
And so my brother married a girl who came to ACU about 10 years ago, and she's from Madagascar. And so we had a Malagasy wedding, flew down there, and it was amazing.
That's so cool. That is so cool.
Yep.
What was the highlight on the food?
Okay, the food. Well, the most unusual thing that happened is that I think it was the second night, maybe the first night we were there. Her family, food's a big deal in other countries. I mean, it's a sign of importance and respect, and you eat the food.
Yep.
And so whenever the platter came out and there was a pig head on there, and they start carving off the snout for the special guest right in front of you. That was a little bit tough to kind of, eat the pig snout.
Yeah.
But we enjoyed it, and it was a blast.
Was it tasty?
It tasted like rubber. So you just kind of chew it for a while, and, it's all right. It wasn't the worst thing. It wasn't hard to swallow. It was just the texture was a little odd.
So you mentioned ACU, that your sister-in-law met your brother there, and you've got 3 beautiful children, and your daughters are both at ACU, and you're an alum.
Yes.
And also, you ran marketing for ACU for a number of years.
Yes.
Let's dig into that for just a second. Tell me some highlights and lowlights.
Absolutely. A lot of both.
Yeah, a lot of both.
So like anything, it was an adventure. It was a roller coaster, and was at ACU as a chief marketing officer for 11 years. And it was, I think I was stretched and grown. I had more growth in that time frame than probably any other time in my life, because I was always put in situations where we were, as a university, growing, going Division I in athletics, and as a academic university, getting into more research, really getting a more national visibility as a university. And so I was really being stretched to grow the university. Also, being a private Christian university, you're also a target for a lot of the social issues that happen. And so navigating social issues and holding true to your core values of being a private Christian university, that was a challenging situation many times, and took a lot of energy, and had a great team, great leadership, and really enjoyed it overall.
What was your biggest win, do you think, from that time?
I think the biggest win was when we really, at the beginning, we were the first university to, this dates this story, but to give all of the students iPhones.
Yep, I remember.
Yes, and made national news. And as we were doing that, it really was to see how can having a computer in your pocket increase and engage students in the classroom in new ways that nobody had experienced before. Because before the iPhone, you really did not have a computer in your pocket. I mean, you had a texting machine or a audio, voice call. Not
Well,
even.
and there wasn't the ability for the apps that came along with that. I mean, changed the landscape.
Absolutely. So ACU was a pioneer, and a lot of that's due to the leadership. Phil Schubert, who's the president, he was the EVP at the time, who really embraced that and wanted to latch on and explore that. And so I remember we had Steve Wozniak on campus, who invented the first Apple computer, and we were Google ambassadors. We had inroads with Apple and all the tech companies, and so it was really a fascinating time to be a part of that. Something that doesn't happen very often. When the first iPad was being released, Apple's very secretive with their product releases, so nobody knew what this new product was going to be. But we had some inroads that we knew it was going to be some kind of pad device. So months in advance, we had our journalism students work with our graphic design students, work with our technology students to all collaborate to be able to announce on day one of the Apple announcement of their product for us to be the first university to announce that we're going to be the first student newspaper on the iPad.
So cool.
So we built this mock-up of what we think it would look like, and we built press releases, not knowing what this product, because we did not know for sure, and we didn't have details. So we were just speculating, and sure enough, we were ready to go. They made their announcement. We tweaked a few things based on their announcement. And that night, I think it was Lester Holt announced ACU being the first university on national news to do the iPad with the journalism students. So that was real exciting.
That was an exciting time too. I mean, I was on campus as a staff member during that time, and did not receive the phone because it was staff, not faculty. But watching all the incoming freshmen get the device, and all the faculty get the device, and just to see immediately, it was just so obvious. I think to those of us observing in the middle of it, how this is going to change everything forever. And it has. I mean, I don't think I got my first iPhone till like 2011. So I had some time to kind of watch everyone else just zone in on the phone. Now we all do it. But that was a really exciting and neat time for the university. And I remember being a part of that. So what's the biggest failure from your time in that position, friend?
Well, I think my biggest failure was a personal failure, and it's that I worked myself so much that I really had the wrong philosophy about life. I felt like, let's go, go, go. I'll sleep when I'm dead. I kind of had this mindset of I'll push myself all the time, and when I need to rest, that'll be another day. And it didn't have good impact on my personal health. I don't think that it led to the best decisions. I mean, you're not at your peak whenever you're not resting. And I think that, with my family and just all the different things in life that you deal with, it just really was out of whack to just always be pushing for more and grinding essentially. And eventually, you just feel like a cog in a machine, essentially, because you're just going. And being in a marketing position, it really impacts your creativity because you don't have the margin and space to really think and create. And so the last couple of years of the 11 years I was there, I was able to kind of start pulling back and really create spaces to think and create and strategize and think about the long-term future of ACU and the Simon Sinek thinking of the why, and why does ACU exist? Why does it matter? Why should anyone care? And really start addressing those type of things. But what I learned from that is that this idea of working from rest. I actually heard it in a sermon at church one Sunday, and the pastor was talking about working from rest. And that was so foreign to me. I was like, what in the world? That's the dumbest thing. I've never even heard of that. It just makes no sense to me. And it took years and years, but I finally realized that if you take care of yourself and your body and rest, and it's not just about sleep, it's about just, resting your mind, resting, creating margin, taking time to just enjoy being in the moment and not always thinking about the 5 next things. When you can really prioritize that, all the work and all the creative and all the goals and everything can come out of the energy and the full cup you have within. And I'm not perfect at that, but I've gotten a lot better, and it's really made a huge impact personally and professionally.
That's awesome. And we didn't talk about this. We met yesterday briefly just to discuss what we're going to discuss today. But you're gearing up for an Ironman right now?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because you look great. So tell me
Thanks.
about that.
Well,
What's
you
going
look
on?
great too,
Well,
Travis,
thanks, brother.
yes.
I just,
Always, yeah.
survive on coffee and a good
Yeah,
attitude.
and the parrot looks amazing. When I walked in and saw the parrot this morning, Travis, that just made my day.
Little neons here,
I mean,
Neon Parrot Live Studios.
Except he is looking at me. He's giving me the eye.
He's
I don't
giving
know,
you the
it's just-
stink eye.
I don't know. But, it's funny because if you would ask me 6 months ago about an Ironman, I couldn't even tell you much about it. But about a year ago, I started thinking, I need a goal that's bigger than me. I need something that pushes me so hard that I have to dig in beyond what I think I'm capable of. And I love the mountains. And so my natural thought was, oh, this is going to be great. Go Bear Grylls style. Drop me off in the woods for a month with a knife, and I'm going to survive. So in my mind, I was kind of fantasizing about something like that. I don't have a month, and I probably would die. And so that did not check all the boxes. But I do love to run. I've never really swam much. I have never cycled much, besides when I was a kid on my BMX, which I was decent.
Yeah, dude.
I had the pegs. I pumped my friends around.
Heck yeah.
So, but anyway, so I started thinking about an Ironman, and I think somebody may have talked about. I think I had a buddy who was doing it, if I think back. And I started looking into that, and my initial thought was, there is no way I could ever come near that.
It's super intense.
It's 17 hours of nonstop grinding, like physical.
What do you swim, run, and bike, or how's it go?
You swim 2.4 miles, then you bike 112 miles, then you do a full marathon after that.
27?
26.2, I believe, yeah. And so all that to say, the thing what I've learned a lot through this process, but one is when I saw that, I was like, there's no way I could ever do that. And then it kicked, and then it hit me about a millisecond later. I was like, oh shoot, that checks one of the boxes of what I was looking
now
for.
I gotta. Now I have to.
And it's only one day, and the preparation is months and months. So it forces me to be disciplined to reach this goal. And it checked every box, and I was like, reluctantly, yes. And then I was so scared to death, I didn't tell anybody forever, because I was like, I don't think I can do this, which reinforced the whole purpose of this is the right goal. So April 26th, I'm going to hit that up, and I'm excited. And,
Where's the race
it's in
at?
the Woodlands, Texas. And I now believe I can do it. It's 94 days from now. And what it's allowed me to do is really focus in on something that is now driving decisions I make every day. So it's forced me in a good way to make healthy life decisions.
That's great.
About sleep and exercise and what I eat and how I think. And one of the things I just found out a few weeks ago from a buddy of mine who's done an Ironman was that they do not allow you to have earbuds and listen to music.
Really?
Or anything. I had no idea. So, I had my playlist. I was ready to go, And I bring that up because I was like, you have got to be kidding me. It was almost like I had lost all hope when he told me that. I was like, I can't do this without music.
I need a crutch.
And what he told me is that it's as much a mental test as it is a physical test, which made sense. And so it has forced me to mentally build endurance and to reframe my thinking and to really, so it's had as much impact on my mind and thinking as much as the physical. So it's been incredible.
That's awesome. I think that's what golf does for me. It's a mental game. All right, so backing up, we met forever ago because your oldest daughter was in utero, I believe,
Back
and
when
we were in.
kids.
We were at Highland in a young married Sunday school class, I think is how we first met each other.
We had life figured out back then.
Oh, we knew so much. No, but we've watched our kids grow up. And then I was just remembering, like, when y'all used to live over by campus and we'd come over and garden together. And the kids play on the trampoline and in the water. It just seems like a whole lifetime ago. But, okay, so, and during that time you were working at First Financial Bank as their marketing director.
Correct, yes.
So you're the marketing guru master, but you decided to leave corporate, 5 years ago? Was it been longer than
almost
that?
5 years. About
About 5?
Actually, almost to the month.
Nice.
Yeah,
So you
5 years
decided
ago, I was telling my team I was going to transition
you're
out of
leaving
ACU's.
because you had a vision.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
back in 2017, God gave my wife and I a vision to create a place where people, kind of an oasis for people that would be nearby, to disconnect from technology and busyness, distractions, noise, whatever you want to fill in that blank. So to disconnect from those type of things and reconnect with themselves, others, and our Creator, and to make it really easy to remove any barriers to where you couldn't make excuses. So in some ways, it was almost like a all-inclusive resort idea, to where we would have a nearby retreat center where everything would be there. There'd be a pond with the fishing poles there. You don't have to find something. You want to camp out overnight? Hey, we have tents, and just to make it super easy, remove any barriers to saying yes to what matters most in life. And we believe what matters most in life is relationships with each other and our Creator, and connections, and having an abundant life built on relationships. That started, God gave us that vision in 2017. Now, it did not come to fruition as far as us buying property and things like that 4 years later, but we started telling everybody about it. And it was so exciting because we were telling people about it, which really, I tell people that whenever they have an idea, now obviously if it's some lucrative business technology, you probably need to hold that close to the vest. But I think most ideas, it's more about execution and somebody actually doing it than stealing your idea, because there's a million ideas out there and very few people actually go through with pulling them off. And so I always say, share your idea, and because it allows people to be a part of it. And that's exactly what this story has been. It's been so much greater than us, and it's been a community of people that have all kind of, if this was a blank canvas, they've all painted all over this canvas. That's the dream of Refuge Ranch. How we found the land came through a friend who knew the vision. How we received a gift of a second property came through someone who knew our dream and knew a family that wanted to donate another piece of property to do the type of mission that we were doing. And there's so many people that have been able to be involved. And that's really how we see ourselves, as being kind of stewards, having the baton for this period of time. And then we look forward to passing it on and letting people be a part of this all along. So,
and it's come with challenges, but it's been really rewarding for you. And I know you still have a vision for the original property, but in the meantime, the second property's been a huge blessing, and you guys have been doing a lot of things. So, what are some of the things that are happening out there recently, and stuff you're looking forward to in the future?
Some of the things that I've really enjoyed are the father-daughter date nights. One thing we've always said from the start is that we just want to fill in the gaps and do the things that nobody else is doing. And for a lot of large organizations, it's hard for them to go deep. They go pretty wide. And I think that serves their purpose maybe okay, but we were like, okay, there's a lot of opportunities to go deep in relationships. And so we do father-daughter date nights. We do father-son campouts. We want to start getting into mother-son date nights, and just enjoying the outdoors. Everything we do is very much trying to be nature first, outdoor first mindset. We try to come up with everything originally, the ideas, and we want people, when they come out, to feel like the 8-year-old version of themselves, to where they just enjoy. They don't think about a single thing happening in life. They can just let go and be in the moment and just have a blast. And it's just a reprieve. And so our measure of success is when somebody leaves and they feel rejuvenated. They feel like they have purpose. They feel like there's hope. They just feel like a lift in their presence. One of the stories that we've got so many stories like this, but one of the stories that sticks out is we were having a father-daughter date night about 1.5 years ago, and we were out there preparing the night before, getting everything set up, and this car shows up in the parking lot, and it's a father, or we were like, who is this? And out from the door came a father and a daughter, and the daughter was like a Disney princess. She had a dress that like lit up, literally. It had like, I don't know how they do that, but I guess they had batteries that make it light up and everything. And he was dressed up. He was, and they were ready to go for daddy-daughter date night. And it was the day before. And I was just in my head, I was like, this is the worst. Like, what do we do? And so it was obvious what was happening. So I walk up to him, and I was trying to be as nice as possible, and I just say, "Hey, how y'all doing?" And they're taking selfies together and everything. And I told the girl she looked so beautiful, and so I kind of pulled the dad aside after we talked for a minute or two. And I said, "Hey, can I just talk to you for a second?" And pulled him aside, and I said, "Hey," I said, it's actually tomorrow night. And I was trying to kind of fill out what to do. I still didn't know at the time, but immediately he started bawling, crying. And this is like a man's man.
Yeah.
This is not, I mean, this guy is a tough looking dude. And started bawling, crying. And I said, and I was like, oh my goodness. And I didn't know why what was going on. And he started to tell me about how he had stage 4 cancer, and he may not even be alive next year. And this was they haven't been together, and there was all sorts of family dynamics that had been, difficult. And they were so excited about tonight. And he just felt like, and he just kept saying, I just feel like a failure. I'm a failure. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I said, you know what, brother? I said, and I didn't know this guy from from before. I said, hey, you know what? Tonight, you have a private daddy-daughter night, daddy-daughter date night. And so we shifted gears, and since we already had things set up, we had a private daddy-daughter night, and we took pictures of them having a sunset dinner, and they had the best time, and it was so awesome. And sure enough, he's doing well health-wise, and he's been able to come back to another one, and so that's a special story. But we get to do things like that all the time, and there's so many people that we try to go deep rather than wide, and it's not about the numbers. Even though we're only almost 5 years old, and we've had over 20,000 people come through.
That's incredible.
So it is a lot of people.
That's incredible.
But they usually come in small groups.
Yeah. You've done a lot of things. Those nights, you've done date nights for couples. You've done bonfire things and campouts and just a ton of things. I remember when you got the initial property, and you had me come out, and we walked around and walked all the way back, and you shared some of your visions with me about what you would like to see happen in the future. And of course, you know me, I'm a magical creator, so I was all about it. Let's do those tree houses, Jason. Let's make that fairy ring a reality. Let's build the tree house, let's do all that fun stuff. So many times I've come out and you've cast your vision in front of me, and it's a beautiful thing. I hope that someday we can make that bear fruit. And in the new space, I remember when you got that, and you had me come out and showed me around. It's phenomenal. It's huge. It's massive. How many people do you have employed working for Refuge Ranch right now? Just one?
And that was as of a year and a half ago. So it was...
Before that, it was you.
Before that, it was me. Every hat, and it went well until it didn't.
Yeah.
And so I'm still involved in helping with vision and all sorts of aspects at a high level. But there is now a director of operations, and he is phenomenal. Yeah, day to day, he runs the place, and he's phenomenal.
That's great.
And so what's interesting about what you just said is that, well, first of all, the reason I wanted you to come out to both places, you were always first on my list because you are the master creative at, one, seeing what's possible and then being able to put it into design. I know you have a lot of experience with, developing stage sets and all of those types of things. And so I always have thought and believe that, you're a perfect fit for being able to bring this whimsical, dreamlike, enchanting wonderland to reality.
Well, thank you,
and
brother.
So,
for anybody listening to this that wants to give to Refuge Ranch to make these dreams possible,
yes,
I mean, $10 million budget would get us started.
Oh yeah, easily.
Easy.
exactly. So, and the other cool thing about that story is that we bought the first property personally. We sold our dream home and went all in to buy 18 acres right next to Abilene State Park. It's gorgeous. And a creek runs through it, woods. I mean, it's just hills. It's just you don't realize that you're near.
You don't feel like you're in Abilene
or West Texas, exactly. And so, and what's interesting about that is we launched it there, but then within the first 6 months of launching, a friend of ours introduced us to a family that wanted to donate a second property, their own personal ranch, which is 3 times larger, 60 acres, to a nonprofit that was doing things like we were doing. And we were about to start paying an architect to do a master plan for the property that we had purchased, which was going to take 5 to 15 years to develop, raise the money, build. And we had no idea inflation and all that was going to be like it is. So I can't even imagine that situation. But without us even pursuing another property, it was, God orchestrated the hearts of these people that barely knew us to donate that to the nonprofit, a second property that's 3 times larger. It already had all the facilities built out, so we could start doing the mission of the nonprofit immediately. And so I always say God did in 5 months what would have taken us 5 to 15 years. And I have a hard time seeing that I could ever even pull that off, knowing myself. And so it is way bigger than us. And it's, God's really been the orchestrator of it all. And we just feel fortunate to be a part of it.
Well, you guys are doing a great thing. And even just in the 5 years that it's been operating, I think it's made a brand for itself. It really has, the Refuge Ranch. I can say to someone, "Oh yeah, Jason Groves," and they'll give me a look, but I can say Refuge Ranch, and they'll go, "Oh yeah." 20,000 people being through there has made word of mouth a big thing in our community, and everybody seems to love it. Everyone that goes out, that does an event, that has the experience, it's a really cool thing that you guys have built.
Well, we appreciate it. It's built by the community, for the community. Everybody's welcome out there. We want people, when they come out there, we tell them welcome home. That's what, when they get out of the car, we say welcome home. And we don't care if it's their first time or their 50th time. It's their home. We just treat them like family, and like this is their home, because it really is. It's not ours. It's owned by the nonprofit, and it was given. So this is for the community. So we want people to come out, and whether it's just enjoying it by themselves. We have a lot of people do personal retreats, just maybe an afternoon of quiet under the big oak trees. We have a cottage out there that they can stay in overnight if they want to. There's maybe couples that come out, marriage couples that want to spend time together. There's families, there's large groups. So it sizes up or down for any occasion.
That's very cool. But you have decided in the last little while to go back to corporate America.
Yeah. And I'm loving it.
You are?
Yeah, I really am.
So
it's been a blast.
you're still in marketing.
Yes.
And what are you doing now?
So now I'm working with Clear Fork Bank.
Okay.
So I made a full circle back into banking, and it's been awesome. I love working there. It's a privately owned bank, which makes it really different than a publicly owned bank that was on the stock market. Both are good, so it's not a but it's been refreshing to work for a family owned bank. They really are. They really see the customers, especially whenever an entrepreneur. I'm really proud of the fact that they see entrepreneurs for who they are and what drives them, and they're willing to take risk with entrepreneurs who they believe can actually pull off a business plan. And it's not just about all of the numbers. They have due diligence, clearly. They are very successful. In fact, I think it's the oldest bank in this area. We're 140 years old.
No kidding.
Yeah, so
That's
it's been
great.
around a while. But it's a new brand to Abilene. They just went through a name change to Clear Fork Bank, so that they could start growing across Texas. So we're in growth mode the next few years, and or beyond that, to really start growing our presence. And we're excited about that. I think that customers really feel the difference. Everything we do, since it is family owned, is all the details are paid attention to. So if you go to a location, you're going to see, for example, in Albany, you're going to see some world-class art on the walls that's worth, this is like museum art, because the family has connections with people who are artists. They're very supportive of the art sector and artists, and so they really pour a lot of energy and funding into the arts. So they really take pride in the environment that they work.
We like that.
Yes.
We like that on this podcast for sure. Anybody supporting the arts is the way to is on our team for sure. What are you looking? So you got an Ironman coming up. Work is going good. Refuge Ranch is going good. Family's going good. What are some other goals that you've set for yourself for the rest of this year?
Some other goals, I've I've played around with the idea of doing a podcast.
Okay.
So this
Welcome.
is
It's your first foray.
yeah. So we'll see how this goes. It's my first podcast. I don't know that that's going to that's not really a pressing one for this year. What I want to do, and this has actually been something for the last few years, but this year I believe I can actually make it happen, is just starting to write more, create content. That's kind of a buzz phrase, but basically get what's in my head and my heart and experiences I've had and things that I've learned out on paper. And I love the idea of seeing if over time, if that can be transferred into video form or photography or different communication forms that people can easily understand and connect with, that can help them be inspired or encouraged or motivated to really pursue the fullest in their life. I've really learned about myself that a lot of times I have limiting beliefs and I don't even realize it. I have a mentor named Alan Briggs. Quick plug for Alan Briggs. He's amazing. He has a podcast too called the Stay Forth Leadership Podcast, but great guy up in Colorado Springs. And he did a lot of work with me coaching. And one thing that was big was limiting beliefs, because we're capable of so much more than we can ever imagine. I mean, we really can do way more. Like with this Ironman, for me this Saturday to go do a 5-hour or 6-hour workout is normal, and it's not normal.
Yeah.
Like
No, that's not
6
normal.
months ago, I didn't. That's foreign. 6 months ago. So, but you're capable of so much more, and so just really being able. I'd love to create content and things, and that's just one example of how people can live beyond their limiting or identify their limiting beliefs. First, becoming aware of it was the first step, and then saying, okay, why do I believe this? It's funny, a lot of times it's because of maybe something that happened in your childhood. Somebody with good intentions said, hey, watch out for that or whatever. So now you're always thinking that's dangerous or something. Well, it's actually not. You know, that person had a good interest and now you have a limiting belief there. And just really helping people think bigger in a more elevated mindset.
If you were to coach me on breaking out of a limiting belief, what would that sound like?
Well, first of all, I would just listen. I think the questions you ask are really important to kind of pull those out. And there's a variety of questions you could ask, but I think just in conversations, as you talk to people, you can start to hear them say things that you're like, oh, I don't know about that. You know, as far as I think that's something that you've assumed you can't do or assumed. And so basically just listening would be the first step. And then maybe probing into it a little bit. Hey, why do you believe that? And kind of understanding that a little bit more, because there's probably more attached to it. Some agreements you've made internally with that limiting belief that may or may not be true. And then so kind of sizing it up, and then just challenging it in a healthy way, not in a mean way, but as a friend, just saying, hey, I heard you say this, and I don't see that in you.
Yeah.
I really think that you can do an Ironman.
Oh, thanks.
You
man.
can do an Ironman.
I probably could do an Ironman, but I have zero. I have zero motivation to go do an Ironman.
Well, you could survive in
someday.
the woods for a month with a knife.
I could probably survive in the woods for a month with a knife. I might be real hungry by the end of that, but I can make a snare and start a fire. So when you talk about that limiting belief concept, or just any personal growth, I know we were just talking about our birthdays, and as I get older and watch my now basically adult children be adults, my brain, my mentality about things is so much different than it was when I was 20, 22, 25. And sometimes I can hear, I don't want to pick on any one of my kids, but I can hear a limiting belief come up about it's usually about a passion, right? I want to do this thing, this big idea, but there's no way I can, that holds you back. And what I've noticed, well, both in children and friends and just engaging with people, that it seems like if someone can have the mental vision to get from point A to point B, C, D, whatever it is, if they can see it in their head, then it makes it easier to take that first step. But what I've also noticed is that the best risks or the biggest outcomes that are possible for you are when you go ahead and take the risk when you don't know what the outcome's going to be.
Absolutely.
And that's maybe that's the maturity coming through or wisdom, but I find myself in the past, I would say, oh yeah, you can see how you're going to get from here to there. Good for you. Now I know that you're going to do that, possibly if you're motivated, disciplined. But now I step back and think, I appreciate and applaud the people that go ahead and just take the risk without knowing what the outcome's going to be, or even knowing what that, like how deep the water is, so to speak. I think that gives more room for grace and mercy to play in, and you have an opportunity to learn more about yourself and the world and relationships when you just take the risk. You don't have to have it all figured out. Nobody has it figured out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it seems like the thing that holds most people back, I know myself, I can speak for myself, is the fear of failure.
Absolutely.
And I don't like failure.
Who
I don't
does?
like failure. I can't stand it. However, it has been my greatest teacher.
It
It
is
has
the
taught
greatest
me
teacher.
so much, to the degree that I don't even know if I believe in the word failure, because if you take what you experienced and use it, how is that a failure? I mean, so
You survived.
and I've got a ton of them, and so I think that that fear is what holds people back. And we've had a lot of people come to us whenever we decided to go this direction that had similar or different dreams, totally different dreams, but they wanted to talk to somebody who did what you said. They went for it. And my mentor, Alan, who I mentioned earlier, he coined a word for it. He calls it terraciting. It's a
Terraciting?
He said it's terraciting. It's terrifying and exciting combined.
So yeah,
terraciting.
I like that.
So yeah, I do too. I've held on to that, and so because I think that describes it perfectly, is that you are terracited. You are terrified and excited at the same time.
Yep.
And I think going for it is huge, because what I've noticed time and time and time again, looking back, I don't know this on the front end because it's all risk. It's all like, whoa, you're at the high dive looking down at the water. You're like, do I jump? And so, but what I've noticed looking back, reflecting, is that most of the time, if not all the time, but for sure the majority of the time, taking that risk or that step forward got you to a point where you had a goal or a vision and you took a step toward it, and then something adjacent to it opened up that you never would have opened up if you didn't take that step. Ever. Like the property that somebody donated to us. It was almost $1 million donation. In the first 6 months we existed. Never would have happened if we didn't take that step. And now most things happen over there because it had all the facilities, and we've been working to improve those. And so I think taking that step is not only a step toward that goal, but to opening yourself up to some new things that you have no idea that God is orchestrating, in realms that we don't understand.
Well, it's almost like you could take the metaphor, the analogy of hiking in the mountains. If you don't take the first step on your hike, you're never going to get to the summit to see the beautiful vista.
Absolutely.
Too afraid of the snakes or the bears or whatever, twisting an ankle, the heavy pack, not having enough water, the sunburn, who knows? But I think that's kind of just true generally in life. Whatever it is you're going through, whatever's in front of you, just do the next right thing, take a big step forward, and maybe you don't end up at your goal or your outcome or your vision that you started with, but you'll be finding yourself in a much better. You're like, I didn't even know I needed all this. This is so cool. It's so much better than what I ever thought.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's just the way it goes.
Yep.
It's wild. What else do you want to share with us?
Oh, I'm just interested in the parrot. I mean, I feel really bonded to the parrot.
Yeah,
right now,
he's a sweetheart.
But I'm just curious. One question that I love asking myself, and I haven't done this in a while, but I'm curious for you if anything comes to mind. Is I heard this by a guy named Bob Goff. I did a workshop with him years ago, and he proposed a question of introducing yourself to the 10-year-old the 10-year older than yourself version of yourself. So basically saying, let's say I'm 47, not that I am,
Yeah.
but let's say I'm
just say you are,
47.
hypothetically.
Yes, and who's the 57-year-old Jason? What's he
Yeah.
like? What's he doing? Where's he spending his time? What is he passionate
Is
about?
he still doing triathlons?
Exactly. So.
Or did I finally get him on the golf course?
Yeah, I think he's the golfer now.
Yeah, good.
Yes, he's doing the golf rounds. But I like that question because it really forces self-reflection of the current, and also it starts to surface aspirations for the future. And that's really how Refuge Ranch started, is with that question, and also just saying, okay, what are the giftings that we have that we enjoy doing? How can we create our future in a way that we feel is aligned with our purpose? But I don't know if anything comes to mind for you.
Well, it's interesting when you bring that up, because I've always, or at least for the last decade or plus, maybe 2 decades, it's like my 10-year older self is quietly whispering to me, like, just keep coming this direction, just keep walking, and don't worry, it's going to be better than you ever imagined. But so that honestly gets me through tough times, tough periods. Last year wasn't an easy year for various reasons, and there was a lot of times where I got some peace inside, knowing that my future self was there, successful, happy, healthy, calling to me now to say, don't worry, you're coming this direction. You're on your way, which is a little different than what you're describing. But yeah, that is an interesting question to field and to think about.
Yes, and I think along with what you said is something that I also love to think about, is just always becoming a new creation, and really seeing ourselves. You may be near me in age, I don't know. We
might be close in age.
So, as the 4.7 version of Travis and Jason.
Yep.
And what does 5.0 look like? You know, I mean that. And so I love that 4.7 version of Jason is very different than 4.5.
Yeah.
4.5 is what it was, and there was good and bad and everything, and I've learned a lot, and I'm glad I'm not 3.7.
Yeah.
I mean, and all of it builds on. And so really, I love the idea, and I try to do this in my life. I'm not flawless with this, but gleaning what has worked well for me and others around me. And I think a lot of times I can measure my own success on how well am I doing for those around me.
That's actually pretty good.
And so, because I may be doing great for myself, but everybody around me is miserable.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Stay away from that.
Or I might be doing, but if everybody around me, is doing well, not that I need to live for that, but that's a pretty good indication that there's some success there, and you're taking care of those relationships. But I just want to continue to 4.8, 4.9, 6.0. That's a big one. Continue to grow and to continue to learn and be a sponge and to be curious and have wonder and hold on to that inner child and all of the things that are possible before people started telling us they weren't possible.
Yeah.
I want to get all that out and just see things as possible.
Well, I really appreciate that you continue to push yourself in difficult directions and ask yourself to do things that you wouldn't otherwise maybe choose to do. And I think that's important for all of us, but definitely as I get older, I recognize that life, I think there's like a clinical term for this, but you sort of have experienced everything already, so you kind of become a little numb or callous to life in general. You're like, nothing surprises me. But putting yourself in situations, whatever that is, people, places, and things that are outside of your comfort zone is going to reinvigorate that energy and that excitement in you, and I think it keeps your brain young, honestly. So I don't know if there's truth in that, but I am encouraged by you. You're inspiring right now, so keep it up.
Well, you're the master at it. I watch you throughout the last 20 years and seeing how you pursue art in all forms, whether it's sculptures or tattoos or building sets for theater. And, you are one of those people that have held on to that inner 8-year-old kind of version of yourself, the childlike wonder,
Magic.
the magic, yes, and you want to bring it to life. You want to share it with people, and so being around you, like I said at the beginning, anytime I can hang out with you, count me in.
Thanks, brother.
Because it rubs off. It rubs
Thanks,
off,
brother.
and I think that's probably one of the mega themes of my life is that anything good that has come through me has. I've learned from someone else, or there's been people encouraging me, or friends along the way, somebody who believed in me. That's a big deal. And so I really try to surround myself or be around or people who live that way. And it helps me on days where I just don't have it.
Yeah.
And they do exist.
They do exist.
And just having a conversation and coffee with a friend who inspires you or just encourages you, or you can just kind of know you have that spirit connection with is important.
It is. Well, I really appreciate you being on the podcast today. And as we kind of get down to the end, I'll give you an opportunity to ask a question or share a thought or make a statement. Whatever feels right, brother.
All right. Well, I think I would just encourage everybody to look for somebody today that you can give that you can encourage. And I heard a few years ago the word encourage, if you break it down, is to give courage to someone, and that stuck with me because I know for myself when somebody encourages me, they just notice something or they speak into my life, it gives me courage to be the full version of what I could be. And so I try to do that with people. I try to be intentional with that. And what's interesting about it is a lot of times with encouragement is you do it genuinely, but it comes back and blesses you in huge ways because the receiver of that a lot of times kind of gives you encouragement. And that's not the intention at all, but it just kind of is interesting. So it's almost a double blessing. You're blessing someone else, and sometimes it comes back to bless you in ways that you had no idea, you were not expecting it. So I would just encourage people to encourage people.
I like that. That reminds me of a quick story. Back when I was working at ACU running the scene shop, it was my job to assign every student a task for strike, or at least I found that it was more helpful if I would do that based on, skills and personality and all that. And there was always a handful of people that they were the social butterflies, and so maybe they weren't quite gifted at using a screwdriver or other things related to taking down a set. So I would give 1, 2, or 3 of them the job of being the encourager. And their job was to go around and encourage every single other person during strike. And those people loved it. They loved being the encouragers, and everybody else loved being encouraged. It was such a win-win. And then I didn't have to have a headache of like, get to work. Why are you guys just sitting over there talking? Like at least they were walking around talking to people, making sure they're okay. You need anything, Can I get you anything? Whatever. So that was really good. We're going to wrap this up. I want to say thanks for watching today. We're coming to you live from the Neon Parrot Studios at Majestic Coffee. Today, our super producer extraordinaire, Sam Wolf, is having a birthday.
Hey.
So send Sam some encouragement on his birthday. And coming up next, we've got the Breakdown with Ben, your favorite sportscaster. I'm sure he's got some great football information for y'all today. I know Big Frank's going to call in from Chicago, and they're going to talk about the new Bears coach. Jason Groves, thank you so much for spending some time with me today on the stage at Neon Parrot Live Studios.
My
talking
pleasure.
About yourself and life and sharing your visions and gifts. If you are looking for a new bank account, Clear Fork Banking.
Yep.
Downtown Abilene has got a branch. And then be on the lookout on social media for Refuge Ranch upcoming events. Anything coming up soon that we want to let people know about?
We're all sorts of things. We're going to make a big announcement in the next week or so with all our spring events.
Okay, so be on the lookout for that. You guys are on Facebook.
Facebook, Instagram, websites, myrefugeranch.org.
myrefugeranch.org.
Yeah.
If you've never been go. It's great.
Yeah, just come visit.
And the
hang
Groves
out.
do a great job out there. Well, say hi to your wife and beautiful children.
Absolutely.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
And thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.